Hi, today I want to talk about taking blood samples and why we do and how we use them. If I haven't told you before, I really don't like needles, and I like needles even less when it's someone else sticking them in my arm. So I was really pleased to discover that as part of my dialysis, I can take my blood samples directly from the blood lines, rather than having to stick a needle in my other arm to get the samples. Now I have 3 monthly blood tests that I do. The first is a transplant blood test, and this is 3 tubes that I do every month. And this is in order for the people who are looking after the transplant list, which I'm on, to have an up-to-date sample of my blood to compare any potential transplant organs to. The second test I do is a monthly test, and for next month there's only 2 tubes. Sometimes there's more, sometimes there's, I think 2 is probably the least. This is done before I start dialysis, and you'll see shortly how I do that. But the final test is the post-dialysis test. That's always only 1 tube, and funnily enough I do that after dialysis. The transplant and the pre-dialysis, I draw the blood the same way, so I'm only going to show you how I draw the blood for the pre-dialysis test. The post-dialysis test is slightly different, so I'll show you that as well. Now, if you are squeamish, you might want to consider skipping the next bit. It's no needles, nothing like that, just the blood flowing through the tubes. If you're interested in how I take the blood tests, however, it's probably worth you watching. But after that, I'll show you how I use the information and how it affects the way the decisions made by my medical support. So I will catch you after we've done the test. Okay, so I have got the machine all set up. The last thing I need to do today is to get my blood tests ready. So what we have here is our blood test prepared for this month. That's the pre-dialysis blood test and the post. So before I actually prime the machine, we'll just get things a little bit prepared for that. So this is post-dialysis we're doing first, which sounds a bit ironic, but we're just preparing it at this point. So the first thing we do is we get this vacuum tube ready and take that off, screw that in the bottom. Now you'll see why we use that when we actually get to doing the blood test. I don't need to do this for about another 5 hours, so I'm putting it back in the bag to keep everything clean, hygienic. We do need to label the tube, so we have a label with my name and medical details on it, which makes it easier. Oops, I'm supposed to put the barcode at the top, so I'll just redo that. I once had a job as a volunteer putting plastic on the covers of books in the library, and they only let me do it once. I was so bad at it. It creases everywhere. I think I've gotten a bit better now that I'm putting these labels on, but still not perfect. So there we go, there's a tube with the label on it. All tubes will have that by the time we're finished. Put them in here, and that's us ready for post-dialysis. There's only ever 1 tube, 1 sample required post-dialysis. So I've just put that on the trolley so I can reach it at the end of my dialysis session, and we'll do the same to get ready for pre-dialysis. But there's a little more involved, so I'll be doing this test fairly shortly. So rather than putting everything back in the bag, we're going to put it all on a tray so it's easily accessible when it comes time to do the test. Right, so we've got the vacuum tube done again in the tray. Label these 2, the barcode at the right end. Nearly got it wrong again, but never mind. got there in the end. Now the different coloured tubes are for different tests. So as I understand it, they've each got a little bit of chemical in them so that when your blood goes in, it reacts so that they get the right responses that they're looking for when they do the actual blood tests at the laboratory. Right, so those two are done. I can get rid of the rubbish. Now the next thing, because we're doing this before dialysis, I get all prepared for this. So the script, we need to record on it the date and time that the sample was taken and the signature of the person who did it. So date I know. I can't put the time because I won't know that until I've done it, but I can sign it. And then all I do is put that on my clipboard that I use for my chart, so it's quickly accessible. When I've actually done it, I can add the time, and then my wonderful wife can take the samples off down to the lab testing. And that is us done. We are ready to do our blood tests for today. I'll come back when I've got the machine primed and I'm ready to do the blood tests, and we'll show you where we go from there. Okay, so we've got the arterial needle in, which if you remember is where the blood comes from my body. I have now filled up the line connected to it with blood, and we've clamped it so that when we take the end off we don't end up sprayed with everything. We're sprayed with blood, should I say. So normally I'd put a syringe on the end here, but we're going to do things a bit differently today. So we'll take the cap off, and if you remember, we had this vacuum tube before, so we just open up the bottom of it, and there is a tube on the bottom of it, so we connect that into the line. Now I overdid it with filling up the line with blood, so I'm getting a bit of a squirt around here. I just haven't got that quite right yet, even after all these months. So all we need to do now, always the yellow one first. Put the, gotta unclip it. And it's filling up with blood. So once that's done, we take it off. Remember I said there was some chemicals already in these? Well, we're supposed to mix these up a bit before we send them in so they can start doing their job. So once that one done, and then we'll do the second. Turn it around so we can see it filling up. That one's done, so we'll just turn that over a few times and put it back in the tray. And before we do anything else, we get the syringe on here to make sure the flow is okay. So this has had blood on it, so it goes in the biomaterials rubbish bag, and we put the syringe on as usual and just test everything's going okay. We're looking good there. So we'll just really quickly wrap up the blood test. So these need to go back in the bag. Seal it up, and I need to put the time that I collected the blood on. Just wasn't sure about reading the time for a minute. 50 a.m. Get this all folded up again and attached to the bag. And once I've done this, once I'm completely connected to the machine, my wonderful wife will take these down to the lab, because obviously I can't drive down and take them down there. So that's the pre-dialysis blood test done. We'll come back and look at the post-dialysis in a few minutes. So we've got 5 minutes left in the session, so we're going to get ready for the post-dialysis blood sampling. First thing we'll do is just put this paper on the clipboard so I can fill it in when we're ready to go. Get it out of the way. Next thing we do is give the hands a bit of a clean. And get everything out of the bag so that we're ready to go when we take a sample. Now the reason I'm doing this 5 minutes ahead of time is that you have to slow the pump down to 50 milliliters in order to take the sample, and if you stay there for too long your blood can clot in the lines. So the idea is get this in and out as fast as possible. So I'm getting prepared now. Next thing is this port here on the line is where we are going to take the sample from. So we don't go in the end of the line like we did for the previous sample. So of course, if we're going to put anything into the blood line, we're going to sterilize it with this alcohol wipe. Right. Well, all of that took a minute. I was expecting it to take longer. So we're just going to have to sit around here and wait for the next 4 minutes until the session ends. So enjoy. Right, so we're in the last few seconds of the session, in fact right on time. Confirm the treatment's expired, take the pump down to 50, it's 50 milliliters a minute going through, which is not a lot, so we'll get down there as fast as we can. So it's still counting down to 50. While it's doing that, we'll get this ready. Unlike the tube, I've got a needle on this one, and I hate doing this because if I miss it, I'm going to hit my hand. So we need to push that through until it gets through to the other side of the sponge there. There we go. Tube it, the same as we did before. There we go. It's filling up, same as the other one did. Just let it get as full as it's going to. Looks like about it. I made the mistake of taking the whole thing out once and blood goes everywhere, so we'll spin that around like we did the others afterwards. Just put that there, we'll deal with that in a minute. And then we confirm the rinse back. Same as if we were finishing the dialysis normally. So close that off, open that up, and start the rinse back. And the pump will now go up to 150 mils a minute. So we can now finish what we need to do here. I've written the date and my signature on the form, so I've just got to put the time. And that'll be ready for my wonderful wife to take back. And this, of course, is a sharp, so it goes in the sharps container, which I will deal with when I'm off the machine. Okay, that's it for taking blood samples. Thanks for watching. This video is a bit longer than I was expecting, so we'll have a look at the results from the blood tests and how we use them next time we meet. Thanks a lot for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please click like. If you want to see more of what it's like living with end-stage renal failure, please subscribe, and we'll see you next time. Thanks. Have a great day.